Well, good morning, everyone. Glad to have you here. Manjunath, I'm so glad that you volunteered to do this. When you were telling me about your project, I was excited to kind of dig into it with you. Bethany, I'm glad you could be here this morning. Um, so today, what we're going to do, this is a brainstorming session with Manjunath on your project that you're building, your side hustle that you're whether it's just a problem for you or if it becomes something bigger, that's fine too. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of dig into it. I'd love to hear about what prompted you to build this, what problem are you solving, and then what problems are you having right now as you're trying to figure out what's next for the product. But Manjunath, would you mind giving a quick introduction of who you are, kind of what you were working on, that kind of thing?
Good. Thanks, Will. I'm excited to be here too. And it's just to give you a brief about me, I have 15 years of experience. I started off building software for large MNCs and then moved into the product side after my MBA. So I worked across India, Europe, UK, and now in US. So throughout the transition in my own journey, I had a lot of ideas. Like, in when I while I was in UK, I was working on a blockchain based Uber for blood donation. So it was all side hustle. I never really got time to build, nor we had the tools at our disposal to really work on our ideas, right? Before the barrier to build products were high. You need to learn coding, you need to know deployment, you need to know a lot of things. The At least last few months, I had the time and the tools and the ideas to put together and build something. And this is where I picked up the problem that I was facing during my journey in the last few months, right? Hunting for jobs is always like people come with their own ideas. Okay, learn this, consume this course, why don't you learn another data science, something like that. So basically people have their own uh, experience of what really enables success. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I mean, at least we are in an era right now where the ability to think and apply is the window between thought and application is very less.
I know,
And
right? It's a run real.
yeah. So that's when I thought, okay, now the core problem I'm trying to solve is like the curriculum-based learning. The era of curriculum-based learning is over. Now it's all about application-based learning. You
Mm-hmm.
can think, you can apply, you can rework on it. And in this application-based learning, I wanted to start my own journey of knowing where am I. So
I love it.
what can I do to progress? And I don't want people to come and give the tidbits of what could lead success, but
Mm-hmm.
I wanted the nuances. Like one example, experienced people also can give insight. Like in my personal website, when you told me the direction that I need to take was such a the insightful thing. That's what is important in the learning right now. Not you teaching me, okay, how to build a website, learning
Sure.
HTML. So that's when I thought, yeah, this is something that could help not just me, but at least people in their own journey of learning, where
I,
application-based learning. So yeah.
I love that. It's honestly that's very much in the spirit of what kind of motivated me to go with this real builders lab was I mean, I have a degree in software engineering as well. That was my background, but I've stopped coding a long time ago because there are people who are much better at the software engineering part than I am. But I've had ideas and I've tried ideas a lot of times. And I was just like, we can do these things so much more. I was chatting with Bethany just the other day of if if I had to do what I did this past weekend, I was building an AI voice agent. If I was trying to do that 2 years ago, I would have had the idea and said, that's a good idea. I'm not spending the money on it and I'm going to be done. And I never would have done it. And instead, I spent a few hours and got a good prototype going. And so it's so much more possible. So I'm excited for that. And I love that you're looking at trying to solve some of that problem of how do people know what to do, not just, it's not really about the how as much anymore. It's what are those steps. So for today, in the next 45 minutes or so, what would you like to get the most out of this time? What would be the most helpful? What lens should we all be listening to you and looking at your product with? Like, what would be helpful for you?
One thing is I want to know this is my problem. I thought this is a problem, and then I have a solution. Now the it would help me to understand like I have is the problem right? Is this problem faced by others too? And
Mm,
that's and then solution is this something that naturally motivates people to solve their own problem? It's
mm.
not like the learning curve should be as low as possible.
Awesome. I love
Yeah,
that. We can definitely have that look. And Yeah, that's great. For those of you that are just joined, feel free to, you can be on or off camera. It's fine. If you have questions, you can add them into the chat as we go. Please feel free to chime in as well. But why don't we start with, just to anchor, just a few minutes. If you could go ahead and share your screen and
yeah.
walk us through just a brief introduction of your tool. We'll do a deeper dive into different parts, but I'd love for everyone to just have an idea of what it is that you're building and what that experience looks like.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let me share my. Yeah, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, yeah, that comes through great.
Cool. So yeah, so this is something that recently I was listening to a podcast from Kevin O'Leary, right? So he was talking about signal to noise ratio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is something I always thought that, we have too many things to do initially in our life. Like every day we have a lot of desires that I want to be there. I want to be a director. I want to be a senior product manager, whatever. But that's something that we desire, but we don't take any credible action starting today.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole philosophy I wanted, okay, what am I going to do today? What are the three things that I can do? So I mean, just adding, I mean, these are all something that I want to make it completely, sorry about that, make it completely automated. But
Uh-huh.
let's say,
Okay. So you
so
can easily look at your, okay, keep going. I love this.
yeah, so like every day morning when I get up, I want to know, okay, what is that I'm going to do today? And what is it helping me towards? Let's say I have three tasks that I do. It's helping me to achieve my objective of becoming a senior product leader in a top, AI company. That's where
Mm-hmm.
my interest lies. So this is the overall journey of like how I, and then I can, okay, do some focus sessions, start and then focus on that particular thing. Like not worry about any other thing. Okay, this is a small thing that I need to do, let's say for 30 minutes,
Uh-huh.
and that's the outcome. So and then I can complete my task and then it's done. So
Nice.
now this is all what we need to do on a daily basis. And coming back to the whole concept of signal to noise ratio, right? Which Kevin O'Leary was talking about. Steve Jobs had this top three things that he wants to do on a daily basis. That's it.
Yep.
That's what matters the most.
I call them my MITs, the most important task. And when I'm operating the most effectively, I'm really good at writing down the three most important tasks for a day. And it's the idea that as long as those three things get done, my day was successful. The chaos of the day may happen, but if those three things get done, then my day, and if I can stack multiple days in a row where I'm doing this, maybe that's a little bit of the stoicism. If you just have, you stack enough good days in a row, you start to build a good week, a good month, a good life over time. And it's not all about individual moments, but consistency in doing that. So I love this idea. This definitely fits into my mindset as well.
Yeah, and one of the ideas that you were talking about in the IPM, right? Like get your most important things done in your most productive time.
Yes. Yeah, that energy audit of like, where do we have our best energy is really important as well. Um,
Yeah,
awesome. Okay, so it's an opportunity to kind of have goals, to have some tracking of this.
yeah,
That's great. I love this.
yeah. So
Um,
it's then you go. I mean, this is all like gamification of the entire process, right? Like how do you, what did
nice.
you do? It kind of motivates you
Okay.
and some analytics. So this is all the goal tracking and stuff.
So tell me a little bit more about the vision of where it's going.
Yeah.
You had posted in the group or in the community about some of where you want this tool to go and how it's going to help people accomplish these things.
Yeah, so the vision is basically let me walk you through how I would want in the future a person to come. Like I would log into I mean, I would get into the application and then I would type in my dream. Like,
Mm,
I started, okay, I want to, I want to be a top AI product manager in AI tech company like Google or,
okay.
yeah, so just let's say Google, for example. So now
Hmm.
that's my dream, right? And I would start typing in. I mean, there's a lot of questionnaire that I would go, why this now? Like, because when we start writing a lot of things, it makes a lot of sense for us.
Yeah,
So,
we have to
yeah,
organize our thoughts into structure,
yeah,
and writing really helps that.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, how important is this? What's my timeline? I mean, these are all questions that I'm just, breezing through. But yeah, these are some of the questions that,
Hmm,
as your idea that this I took like, the most productive time.
nice.
So intensity level, what kind of a person you are, like learning style. I don't
Oh,
like to read.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I love
So,
that.
and then I mean then could draw a copy of your resume,
Hmm,
and you're how ready are you? Are you still exploring? Are you like I want to jump right now, or I want to join as soon as possible.
that's
And yeah,
great.
so I'll just breeze through this. So yeah, and your knowledge and experience, like when people talk real impact,
Hmm,
and what's beyond your decision level. Yeah, and your social media handles, blog, Twitter, side projects that you have, and any motivation, and what do you do after starting projects?
okay.
We start a lot of projects, and
Yeah, start but don't finish. That
yeah,
was that's the way I tend to think about it. I was like, if I had just built one bridge from here to success, starting 20 years ago, I'd be there on the island of success or whatever. But I have like 100 different 10-foot bridges. So I just have a bunch of docks and I'm fishing in the ocean instead of actually having made it across the way because I keep starting and not finishing. So that's awesome.
yeah. So and also a support system, any self-doubt you have.
Hmm.
I mean, what your gut says, like, I know I can do this, or it's
Yeah.
something. So yeah, it's like basically you put a lot of information about yourself and then you just save it. So once, what happens is basically, this is the container, right? So,
Hmm.
so what I mean, this is again, I'm still thinking I would need your input, especially in this. I believe every success journey can be measured, professional success I'm talking about. It can be a job or to starting business or to be an entrepreneur, whatever it is.
Hmm.
So it's combination of your competency, your network, your opportunities, your mindset, and your execution capabilities.
Hmm.
It boils down to these five buckets.
Yeah. And I don't think this is limited to professional either. I think if we change success, sometimes we use the word success can mean a lot of things. It's easy in business to measure success by money, title, whatever. Like there's a currency that's often used. But I've done a fair amount of work in nonprofits or charitable areas where money isn't the goal, and
Yeah,
if you change what the value goal is to maybe it's helping a certain number of people, maybe it's reaching a certain group of people, that's your value success. So there's still a measurement. There is still some opportunity. It's not always as easily to quantify as something like the dollars in your paycheck or the title or your influence or that kind of thing. Those can be a little bit easier to measure, but there's a lot of ways of doing that outside of a for-profit type model as well. Um, and so I don't think your framework would necessarily have to change for things in your life. Um,
yeah,
I think some of the areas would probably not be quite as meaningful, but if I would switch out, maybe it's a personal goal. Network might also be synonymous with support system, right?
yeah,
I'm thinking like, oh, if I wanted to get healthy or I wanted to do better with kind of mindset and being presence, my network, it doesn't matter how broad it is, but it's what is my circle? Who do I know who's supporting me? Have I communicated with them? Are they encouraging me or are they detracting me from those kind of things, right? So I think you have a lot of interesting models here. So
Yeah. So that way, now all the input that I as a user
mhm,
did through the vision questionnaire, it's just not my keywords, my dream, my reality, my time commitment, even my resume, my foundation, everything, right? If you
yeah,
gather in all that analysis, I even the external blogs and Twitter handles and LinkedIn media, if you can, I haven't, I want to go through the entire, scan and then
mhm.
figure out how competent am I to achieve my dream. I have said I want to become an AI product manager in Google, but I might not have the right knowledge and skill set. It's not that I can't develop.
Yeah, it can be there may be another spot. I mean, we used to talk about, my dad used to joke of to get from here to there, you're going to have to go somewhere else first. That's something that we often have to do in our journey is there's something along the way. There's a midpoint milestone. Um, and having that called out, I think, is really valuable. Also, are we spending our time? That would be an interesting part. Maybe this is where you're going as well, is if your primary goal is X, and yet all of your most important tasks for the day are going in a completely different direction, can it call out of like, these things are interesting in the moment, but none of them are actually leading you to your bigger goal?
Yes.
Because we often will get busy. People will put stuff on our calendars, they'll invite us to things, or whatever it might be. But are those things actually moving us towards what we want to accomplish?
Yeah.
Uh,
Exactly. So starting from there of getting that self-awareness of who am I, what are my goals, and where do I stand?
mm-hmm.
And now the progress is all the smaller steps, right? So and it comes down to even opportunities. Like I was just doing some research to figure out how many open jobs are there in LinkedIn and what are the different sectors. I mean, I was surprised to see, especially there's competition between every job, it's like 1:80 for HR, admin, and other marketing jobs, say, and sales jobs.
Yep.
So, and product management is like 1:40. So that's a huge opportunity gap in the right current market, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like nobody gets that fact.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is great. Thank you for walking through this. Um, if anyone has any, I mean, feel free to chime in if anyone has any comments or thoughts on whether this is a problem for you or any questions about the product, that's fine as well. Um, Feel free to chime in or type it into chat. That's fine. I guess one of the questions that I would have for you is your initial question was, do other people have this pain point or problem? Um, I can definitely raise my hand as an N of one. Yes, tracking these goals super helpful. It's definitely philosophically something that I believe with. Um, in the app process, to the building process of this, um, are there any challenges that you've run into that you're struggling with as well? Like, I'm curious on the tech side of this, without getting down into like, we're not trying to write it all. Are you vibe coding this? What are you doing to build all this out? How have you gotten from the idea to this really impressive prototype?
So yeah, it all started with tracking my own time, right? So it's all vibe coding. Mostly vibe coding. Now it has become Claude code. It's become
Yeah.
more easier.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I,
this was the page that like I started off with. So basically, I wanted to know, okay, what are 5 goals that I'm going to do this week, and what are those tasks in each of these? And I
okay.
limited number of goals and tasks. So
Nice.
yeah, now what I want to build is basically this collective intelligence. Now I have the container where I can put in data. Like few people are very good in managing their time. Like this
Mm-hmm.
is all manual, right? Like I am actually not good at planning stuff.
Mm,
So I would run out of okay, 4 things when I sit on Monday morning to figure out what are the key things that I want to get done this week. I would I would freeze at that point of time. So it's
yep.
like restarting the journey every week. But actually, I am going through a journey for several weeks, which you don't realize on those Monday mornings, right?
Yeah. It takes energy to decide what's next. And so is the goal is that the system would continue to propose what your most important task would be.
Yes, exactly. So that's the point. Let's say my goal is to starting AI product manager in Google. Timeline is
Mm-hmm.
3 months, and all the data is there available. Basically, my competency, what am I good at, what am I bad at, what's my time commitment, what. So it would take in all this information. I mean, first, I want to create value for solo users, not the collective compounding value would be generated with the collective intelligence, but as a solo user, it has all the information. Now I can use all this information and provide a context to LLM and ask it, okay, now create a 3-week plan based on my reality, based
Mm-hmm.
on my understanding. I know a fair bit of coding. I understand systems. I don't need to go, generic. And then it follows along with my journey. So basically, every time I complete the task, so that context has been updated, and then the next and then it creates that plan, right? So
Uh-huh.
that's the immediate step that I wanted to
Nice.
create.
How is that going? What are you struggling with right now to make that happen?
Yeah, I mean, struggling right now is basically every time the testing part, right? So I'm trying to figure out the best way to test. So every time I use this open API to send and get I need to spend like 5 to 10 cents depending on the text size that you. So I'm trying to I installed Open LLM, the Llama, and
Uh-huh.
then try to see, okay, if I can reduce the text within, create a local context, because I don't need specific right answers right now.
Mm-hmm.
So can I reduce the do a first level of reduction and then send it to OpenAI and then get information.
Okay, good. Um, as you're as you're thinking through sort of what's the next step, it sounds like part of it is also what are you going to test next? Like I was I'm curious as to like what learnings do you need to have? You talked about whether or not we'd validate the problem. We could definitely do that. If anyone else have any goals that they want to that they would share, is this a tool that you would use? Would you all consider this? You can do a thumbs up. You can come off mute if you want to, but curious what your thoughts are.
I just finished up a group of job search folks with Never Search Alone, and the primary piece that I think was difficult for people is needing that accountability um, and just getting to work. And so the idea of planning it out for 3 weeks, if you're looking for a job, but I think there's depending on personality types, it just having, like I've used, task type time logs for like, especially with gig work, if you're doing a project here and a project there and trying to see how much time you're spending on it, or just even learning how to price your time, whether it's financial or whether it's just valuing time. I think it seems like a tool that could be used for doing that in one place instead of having it just be this side tool that you log your minutes so that you can see where your work is going.
I love that. I one of the things that I see a lot in my day job is, I mean, for those that don't know, I mean, I spend a lot of time coaching people who are in that job search for product management. And one of the most overwhelming things in the job search is to decide what to do today. So I think you've hit on a real pain point of is there what should I be doing next and how do I get focus? And that energy to decide is spent, which is why one of the things that a lot of experts have talked about is that those who often will achieve more success will actually set tomorrow's agenda today. At the end of their day, they'll plan out tomorrow. before they get there, so that when they start early in the day, their stuff is there. And so I think that from here, we definitely would give you a thumbs up. I mean, and from my perspective, at an early stage of a product, you're not looking for quantifiable data in the sense that it has to be large scale, statistically significant numbers. You're looking for directionally correct and qualified data of, are these people who would be interested in doing this? I do think that you're hitting on another really interesting problem, which is maybe worth a whole other conversation at some point for the group here. Is there's a lot of products now that are being built that are using AI that have an inherent cost that is ongoing. And the more people that use the system, the more it costs to operate. And how you position and leverage and monetize and or offset the costs. Like, could someone come into your tool who loves the tool, loves what you've built, and provide their own API key, and then it's not on your bill? Would that be a path for you to do early testing without having to foot the bill of everybody clicking all the buttons and putting a crazy amount of stuff into it? And they would be fine with that. Like, one of the other members in here is building a Chrome extension for LinkedIn, and you can put your own key in and it will do analysis of your LinkedIn profile. But it's not on his API key, right? Like, it's not costing him to put it out there, because you could get a lot of people. It could cost a lot of money. So that may be something for you as you're early testing. If you're getting some feedback, is give people the ability to say, hey, this is not the way it would always be. But if you want to play with it, you want to use your own planning, love to have you put in your own key and play around with it. Use it all you want.
Yeah, that's something that I want to integrate that, to
Yeah.
get more people use and see how they, use the product at the end of the day.
Yeah. Now, have you gotten into getting a little bit into the technical side? Because we had talked about this as eventually getting to a place where you have the RAG system for the very context specific details. Have you gotten into building that yet, or is that just something that's on the horizon? It's part of the vision of where you're going. Where are you with that right now?
Yeah, I'm doing a little bit of research in terms of building the RAG models.
Mm-hmm.
So, the first use case for RAG model is basically to arrive at this number for me. I mean, the first one I started up with the opportunities. So that's where I was trying to get the numbers. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, opportunities is completely market driven. It's data is out there. So I just need to build a model, a web scraper. I was trying to build a web scraper which goes through different websites and then figures out, it first gets a high level of information. Okay, these are the now in my dream I would have had to specify, right? So that's another part, the smart checker, which basically quantifies your dream. You can't vaguely say something. That's why I've kept it purely for product management at this point of time. I'm not
Yep.
trying to diversify too quickly. So right now, the it has to be a complete dream with a specific timeline, with a resume. So with this combination, it goes and searches for all the opportunities and then sees how hot is the market. Is it like, based on my
Mm,
geographical location, based on my experience, like, is it something, what's the probability score? So,
right. Totally makes sense.
yeah,
Now,
so
for those that may not be as familiar, can you define RAG for people at a high level?
So basically, RAG is a retrieval augmented generation. So it retrieves the context around uh, the data that we want to take in. Let's say, for example, uh, uh, a tiger in the forest.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you can just send tiger and then you can send forest as keywords, but getting information of the entire context is what the tiger is in the forest. The relation between tiger and forest is low. So basically, it gets the surrounding data. To be lamely put it, I could say I want to know how many tigers are there, and then probably it would go fetch all the it would go fetch all the forest data and then present it to you, which is
Okay, so I'm going to try and give it a even less technical view, and you can tell me if this is still hitting. So when I think about it from your goals perspective, if part of it is to give details on paths that have been successful for people. So if my goal was to develop the habit of engaging in my network, that's my goal, right? Engaging in my professional network. And the plan that it was developing was to reach out to X number of people on LinkedIn or to post comments or on other people's threads. And that was successful. You could then create a history of what was success versus what wasn't success. So the next person who comes along who then wants to get some help on how to network, it would have not just the general LLM knowledge of all the things that are possible in the known text, but it would have some specific histories that it then rates a bit higher. Is that a fair way to think about it? Is that it pulls some of that context in to give a maybe a more relevant recommendation for what a person should do in their journey?
Yeah, exactly. And also based on the type of the person. So you and I can be an introvert. So your journey would very much align with my journey.
Okay, got it.
So, so that way it would help me, okay, an introvert who is in, let's say, we both are based in geographically similar location. We both have similar foundation. So
Uh-huh.
taking the R context and the opportunity context, and then matching, okay, Will did it similar to your background, Will did it this way. So you could also, my probability also would be closer to do
Got it.
that.
Yeah, because if you were to take I don't mind going and talking to absolute strangers. I'm very much of an extrovert as an into an introvert. You shouldn't give the same plan to someone who, like, for example, my spouse is does not like to talk to strangers. She's like, when we go to the grocery store, she's like, why are you talking to these random people? I was like, because it's a nice thing to do. She's like, you don't need to. I was like, but I want to. And for her, that would be crazy. She'd rather just hand me the phone when it rings and I'll answer. It's her phone. It's like her own phone and I'll answer it. And so very different plans for us based on our personality type. Okay, I love that. So that's the idea, is that as you gain more successes, more signals in the system of what's working, you could help other people adjust, but you could also help the individual have a more successful plan for their next week and their next week of which things worked and which things didn't. Is that
Yeah.
kind of where this is going?
Yeah, exactly. So making the three tasks that you need to do today
Uh-huh.
smarter over the period of time.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Um, okay. A question for you in terms of where things are going. Um, where have you had other people test this out? Have you, or is this sort of the first time you're unveiling it to people other than you as you're working on it?
Yeah, it's the first time I'm unveiling to
Okay.
people.
Okay. Um, well, do you want to go through it a bit more in depth and we can kind of give you some feedback sort of screen by screen?
Yeah, we can do that.
Would that be helpful?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So let's let's start with like whatever view, like if you want to, I mean, we can go for whatever version of it, but in terms of what role should we play? Someone who has already signed up, who has a goal. We've done the vision piece. That part's helpful. In the dashboard, if you go to the dashboard piece, is that where people log in and they start there?
y- yeah, for new people, actually it takes them to the quest. So basically you fill in your details. So that's where I need to add the API key where they have an option to, you basically fill in your details.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mean, I would add the API key where you could use connect
Mm-hmm.
to the OpenAI and get a plan for your
Okay.
objective. So right now that plan is not integrated directly into it doesn't come directly. So there, it just gives you recommendation.
Okay.
Let's say, so here recommended next steps. So it gives you that, okay, this is what your key strengths are. This is what growth areas that you need to focus on. This is the next step. Now you can use this next steps and create your own plan. That's the cold start problem that I have. It's broken. That link is not there.
Okay. I do think for those that aren't familiar with cold start, when you're dealing with making recommendations in a system, often there are models that will say they will use previous data to determine what the recommendation should be. So think about when you first started watching Netflix and it didn't know what you liked. How does it know what to tell you it likes? And so that's a cold start problem in a recommendation engine or in a personalization type model. And figuring out how to get from nothing to something is always a struggle in a recommendation system. When you have something like your vision piece, where people have answered some of this, and as you start to get more data who have taken steps, you can leverage that community view of things, and you can jumpstart a cold start problem by making some recommendations of what you've made successfully to other people. So you can find someone who's an extrovert who wants to work on their networking skills and they've had success. That gets you out of the cold start. But what about that very first person? I think LLMs can do a fairly good job of generically providing some feedback uh, to give you an opportunity. If you fed in a prompt with all of this information about someone, well structured, and said, okay, based on all of these things, what should their top 3 next steps be? And then give the user an opportunity to give you feedback on whether they agree with that or not. Does that sound like something that would be reasonable to do?
Yeah, I think in my perspective, yes.
Do you think that you could structure a bunch of that vision feedback into a prompt? Have you tried using some of that information to see what
E-
kind of recommendations it gives you?
yeah, it gives a generic recommendation. I tried it on myself. It's not really specific, and I have to shorten it and then make it, because it has this was I started this was another context where before the pre-idea, right? I spent a lot of time with ChatGPT in the last 10
Mhm.
months. So I wanted to know how I spent the time. So
I wonder if you can make some assumptions though around people who care about setting goals, so that you can make even your assumptions. They've provided all this information, but there's also going to be a predisposition to wanting to take actions. um, it might be worth doing a like a Perplexity or a Chat GPT deep research
yeah,
on uh, the those that start but struggle to succeed. What are the first initial steps that create momentum? What's the model for some of that? That might give you something to get through your cold start problem, at least.
yeah, that's something that I have to work on towards. Like it's like every step should actually motivate you to take to the next step, not achieve the goal, but at least the first step we can't push. I mean,
Mhm.
that's internally people have to be driven to take the first step, but after that, it has to be the follow through. The step itself should motivate you to take to push you to the next step. So that's something I will think through and then see how we can solve that.
Yeah, I it makes me think about sort of the snowball method of debt reduction. When people have debt they're paying off, there's
Yeah.
the mathematical optimization, which is to pay off the highest interest rate ones, which saves you the
Yes.
most money. But then there's the momentum mode, which is you pay off the lowest balance, even if
Yeah.
it's not financially the savviest way,
Yeah.
because success begets more success, creates that momentum.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, going from nothing to something is a big deal.
Yeah. That's true. So yeah,
So what
coming
do
back.
you want people to come in when they come in? What do you want them to do? Like, what's the very first, or let's take it daily. So let's say they've gotten through your onboarding. How do you want them to use the tool? What do you think right now they should be doing?
Yeah, just get to know the awareness. Okay, this is my awareness. Okay, this is what I want to not really take it completely. I mean, a high level awareness.
Mm-hmm,
Okay. The ChatGPT will compute scores. I will have some intelligence behind every score based on the information that they have provided during the questionnaire. So
mm-hmm,
how good is your network? How good is your competency in terms of knowledge and skill? So that's resume, right? Keywords. Those things can be pulled and provided a fair this thing. Opportunities is again right now I'm keeping it only for PM
mm-hmm.
because it's very difficult to gauge opportunities for everything
Totally.
and then mindset based questions, right? All the questions that I'm trying to find the correlation between the words people use. People who are happy, people who are confident, they use different sets of words. Also vocabulary, there is a vocabulary bias, knowledge, so many biases, right? I'm trying to figure out, is there a way based on the answers? I mean, there are some things like people will say I'm very confident,
Mm-hmm,
highly confident, but I'm trying to find correlation with the other answers, just like how Google tests, right? So all
yeah.
the that's something that I am still figuring out. That so that way I can use that as a mindset, and then execution is purely based on your question. So Based on all the questionnaire, you get a score, right? So you get to know the recommended step. It's as simple as that. People who just want to curious to test it out,
Mhm.
it's I put in my resume, I put in all my details, and then see where do I stand. That's it.
Okay, but let's get to, like, for this to work, not just for you, but for other people, you have to get retention. You have to get people using this on a daily basis. What would, if you could imagine your ideal user who's having great success and getting a ton of value out of this, what are they doing each day with um, this tool? How are they operating? They wake up in the morning. Is this on their screen? Is this like, how are they getting here, and what is their behavior that you
Yeah.
want, that you imagine right now?
Okay, so I will tell you how am I using it.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm the first user, right?
sure.
So basically for me, it's like I plan my week. Like every Sunday or Monday, I just put in, okay, what are the 10 things that I want to do and what is the time that I take? I go in, okay, so I add a new goal. My goal is to, let's say, you know, do a, get, learn something, learn a course. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, learn more about RAG.
Yep.
It's simple thing, right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what do I want to do when I want to learn more about track? Learn more
Mm-hmm.
about track is very vague. So this is where it helps me to be more specific. Okay, watch a video, as simple as thing. Watch a video on YouTube about RAG. It
Mm-hmm.
starts from there.
Yep.
So there now, how much time do I want to spend? 1 hour maybe? And let's say I want to do it today. I mean, Thursday. This is one thing. This is the task that I just want to do once, and
Sure.
then I save. Or probably I want to do a repetitive task. Like,
Okay.
I want, yeah, learn more about drag, like at least spend, 15 minutes
Mm-hmm.
writing something about drag on a daily basis. So that one I want to do it, repetitively,
Okay.
at least for this entire week. And I
Yep.
want to spend like 30 minutes is this thing. So let's say I save task, right? So that's it. I plan my week and then I'm done.
Okay.
So now every morning I get up, okay, I just see, okay, now this is what. Oh, one more thing I forgot to say. When I plan my week, I exactly know how my daily load distribution is. So I have seen my week. So I'm not, at least the time is the only currency that I can use effectively.
Yeah.
I'm not overloading it on one particular day. Let's say now Tuesday, I'm 4.5 hours, but Wednesday, Thursday, it's all lean. It's not practical. Like I would spend one day 5 hours and then other days I wouldn't do anything. This is, I could probably spread it out.
Yep.
And probably Sunday, I don't think I'm going to do anything. And I have too many tasks.
Mm.
16 tasks is, maybe I need to reduce it a less. And so, yeah, so basically, I plan my week based on, I mean, these things. So spend at least half an hour to plan your entire week. What is the 5 things that you want to get it done? And how much time you think you're going to spend? Is it realistically from a time perspective, as simple as that?
Yeah. I think one of the hurdles um, with people who are choosing to find tools to make a plan is to develop the habit of making the plan. And so, because your tool won't solve that yet, right? They have to choose to sit down and make the plan.
Yes.
So that there's one idea, a suggestion for you is to solve, or is to focus a bit on that problem.
Yeah.
Because if you get them in because they're excited, they see something like, oh, this is a cool tool. You do a little promo, whatever. People are like, yeah, let me try it. But then they fall off after a week or after 2 weeks, and then it doesn't help them anymore. Um, I would say figuring out how to get them to come back and make that plan is an area where I would put a lot of focus in the product. And it's less about the technical piece and it's more about the engineered human experience of how do you remind them? How do you, when you do have their attention, how does it reinforce things? I mean, there's a lot of pieces in here that I really enjoy. Like I have a lot of ideas about the daily load distribution, and because my schedule is full of things and I don't always love that it's not as optimized as I would like. And I could totally see how to better leverage with that visibility. But I think that when you're thinking about this product, obviously you have your own use case, and so for you, and so continue to explore to be helpful for you. When you're thinking about new adoption, I think getting people to come in. So notifications. How would they like to be notified? When do they want to be reminded? How, when they're adopting this new thing, I would even consider something for you to play with or test out. Could a person raise their hand and say, I know that I struggle with this, so annoy the heck out of me until I develop the habit? Meaning, remind me the day before, and then 5 hours before, and then 2 hours before, and then 1 hour before, and then 10 minutes before. And it's ridiculous. It feels spammy, but they opted into it to try to change their behavior. And then knowing that as they can consistently come in and plan every week, that it would start to be less noisy. And then if they started to struggle to come back, it gets noisy again. And so from a product perspective, I believe, this is my philosophy, you can take it or leave it, that products should be highly opinionated, particularly when they're starting. I think that products that have lukewarm reception from people are just a waste of money and time, because they will drag on for years, costing money, maybe just getting by, and mostly underwhelming everyone who uses them. So the last thing you want is a mediocre, lukewarm response. You want people to love your product or hate your product, but you do not want people to be like, yeah, it's fine. So for those that hate it, fine, go find something else. There's plenty of things out there. But for those that love it, they want you to be whatever your opinion position is. And so that would be one of my thoughts for you, is to think about how could you be more opinionated about what you believe is the best practice for someone who's trying to accomplish their goals.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so
and if it gives a suggestion based on, I mean, that's what I'm hearing you say, is that it would give a suggestion on what the next steps are, because I think that's where people get stuck, is that they're, and if it's able to look at your past behavior as well as your goals and say, okay, these are a few recommended steps, now make a plan for this week, that kind of pushing forward I think would be helpful.
Yeah.
Totally agree. I love that idea as well. I've been looking at a number of things talked about recently around the UX of the world is moving more and more towards what OpenAI and Claude looks like, which is just a chat box. So there's no UI anymore. You just talk to it. I would be curious as a flow here if you could incrementally get the information that's in the vision board, but not having to start with it, because it can feel like I have to do all of this work and I'm already struggling. Could they come in and say, hey, today I'm trying to accomplish this, and it immediately gives them 3 things, and then they could say which of these 3 things do they want to make their next task. And now you're doing, I call them hybrid intelligence, when you use technology to give you something, and then you let the person decide the final version. It's the way I used to talk about Google search, is it was the hybrid matching. It would find 20 results and then you clicked on it to decide what was right. Now we're getting to AI that just gives you the answer. And I think if you're giving their next 3 steps and then they choose, here's the number 1, I think you could get people in and starting and feeling like you just answered their most immediate question, like Bethany said, of give them that recommendation. Just get away from the blank screen problem.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking yesterday. So basically now when a user comes, so it's just like, what's your dream and when do you want to achieve this? And do you believe? That's it. Continue your journey.
Yeah.
And then it
Yeah.
takes them right to this one. That's broken.
That's okay.
Yeah. So basically that was the thought process in terms of making sure, you know,
Yep.
yeah.
I mean,
Something.
it's fancy flashing. There we go. No, but I love that. Okay, so we're running up on time. What is it that, speaking of setting goals, what's the next thing that you're going to test in the next week with this tool, and when will you get it done by, and how will you keep yourself accountable to it? So just one thing, what's the number 1 thing that you want to try to accomplish in the next week with this tool, with what you're building?
Yeah, one thing is these numbers are have to come. Some numbers, it can be right or wrong, but for an individual solo user based on just LLM output, it has to provide some numbers and then link the bridge between next steps and planning. So basically, the next step should be, okay, hey, guy, why don't you try this 3-day plan?
I think that second one is your number one. I
That's
think you need to start with a recommendation,
yeah, so yeah,
even with whatever information they provide you, even if it's just a statement of a goal and you know nothing about them. What is
that's a
their
good point.
recommended next step? I think if you get that piece before you worry about the numbers, and then you can improve the recommendations.
Yeah, based on the first 3 questions, I actually can come up with, okay, these are the 3 steps that you want to do, you need to do to, what would be the generic step? Like if somebody approaches you, hey, Will, what should I do if I want to get into product management? Without knowing anything about them, you would probably say, okay,
Yep.
start here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when are you going to get that done by?
By next Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna hold you to it. I want to see in the Real Builder Lab. I want an update in your build log of and a video or a loom of you getting that done. All
Yeah,
right.
I love this because it actually, I mean, so much of difference in terms of the dashboard. I was too much concentrated on the intelligence, not really just because I had to present, I was accountable to present. I did all these, presentable. I mean, it looks presentable today. It
Yep.
was
Yep.
not last week. So yeah,
No, this
I
is great. Um, that's awesome. I would love to see that. I would love to see in a week. If you get there faster, it's fine.
yeah,
But next week, I'm gonna put it on my calendar. If I've not seen it, that I'm gonna come after you and ask you. I'll be that very opinionated, annoying app saying, "Where's the update? Where's the update? Where's the update?" So awesome. Well, thank you for being here. This was wonderful. For those that are watching this recorded, I will get the recording up here in the next day or so and share it out. But if anyone else has any projects that they're working on and would like to walk through them, sharing with people, get some feedback, I'm always happy to do that here. That's part of what I'm here for. Creating an environment for us to kind of walk through these side hustles or side projects that we're building and see if we can't make them better. And I do think it is about finding those next consistent milestones that we can hit and just delivering a little bit at a time. We don't have to get it all done overnight. So, Manjunath, thank you for being here, for sharing with us your goals. And I can't wait till add in that API key as well. Not first get the recommendations,
yeah,
then get the API key because then you can put it out there and not have it cost you a fortune.
yeah.
All right.
Great. Thank you
Thanks,
so much,
everybody.
Will. I think
Absolutely.
this is a great initiative. I mean, what you've thought through, I always thought it's important to be accountable, especially when you're not accountable. You tend to go in your lone loop and then stay there.
I'm glad that it resonates with you. I'm definitely embracing this idea that we do not have to have a massive audience to do things.
Yeah,
We can nowadays, with how easy it is to build, we can build with an N of one, which is myself.
yeah,
But that we can often find our tribe of people that have the same thing and then not have to do it alone because it's
yeah,
really hard to do by ourselves. So it's a lot more fun to do with others. So
yeah,
I'm glad that you're on this journey and sharing your journey with us. And I'm glad that we could do this. So thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bethany. Thank you, Archana, for
Great to meet you.
getting up in the morning and joining.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a good question session. I had one question around the data privacy. How are you ensuring that data that I'm putting in nobody else has access to in case I want to use this tool?
Oh, yeah, I thought about that. So I wanted to get blockchain into it. So that's another aspect of. So this is just the front end, right? The back end, I have designed like 5 engines, which I call. So one is a scoring engine, the other one is the blockchain engine, which kind of makes the whole system has to have some amount of payments also, right? It's just not the data, even the financial thing. So that's where all the engines will work. Each engine has its own uh, motto, which is to fuel this particular front end. And at the end of the day, I want to make sure that data is like your data is with you. Nobody else can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. I'm going to wrap it up here and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, guys.